Jin here in Miami Beach, coming to you unfiltered, excited to bring on my beautiful guest, Kaylyn, to talk all about finding what's right for you, or more like stepping into what's right for you, and the process of that, and what that looks like, and how essentially you kind of get to be the one to create what that looks like in your life. So, hi, hello, happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, as I like to call it. And I know this is something, I love this idea of sort of stepping into, Nate, hi honey, stepping into like what's right for you, because basically like all of life is made up, right? I loved when, what's his name? Elon Musk came out with like a new title for his business. It was, I don't even remember what he said. But instead of being like the CEO, he was like the superhero, or, you know, he came up with his own title, because essentially it's all made up anyway, as is language, as is life. But it's these sorts of things that really, really help us, because words have power, roles have power, and our lives and our families and everybody seems to put these limitations on us and what that means. And that's something I know I've struggled with in what I do. You know, as Jin N Tonic, my brand was an actor, model, badass, which even that has 81 millimeter photography in the house, high-end. So that has a lot to do with it, where even the word badass, right, is something that's up to definition. And apparently some people don't think that's a good thing. I think that's a really good thing. My definition of a badass is somebody who lives life by their own rules, right? But it's still a word, and it has a different definition based on who you talk to. So I'm so excited to bring on my dear friend and a mentor of mine, Kaylyn. I'm not using her last name because I realized I've never tried to say it out loud, girl. It's Kaylyn Rutkowski. Such a beautiful being. And she popped into my life a few years ago I was transitioning from, you know, I'd lived in LA, I was a world traveling model, got really burnt out doing that, and just learned a lot about myself, and then started this new business, Create Your Next Level, where now, I'm helping people with their mindset, their marketing, their social media. And from there I ended up, had some beta clients, but then I also went through a divorce. And so I went through some very transitional times in my life, and ended up in the desert in Albuquerque, and then worked with a shaman who goes, Makosi, goes by the Royal Shaman. You'll see me share her thing sometimes. And through these different avenues, met Kaylyn, and I ended up actually transitioning from where I was out in the desert in New Mexico to moving in with my sister and being there to help my family. And Kaylyn was like a really pivotal guide for me during that time of sort of integrating. It's like I went from being like this world traveling model, ooh la la, to now it was like the time of shutdown, and I'm at my sister's house and she has kids, and I'm crashing on a couch, and so I'm just like in a bathrobe with a toddler all day, and I'm like, what is happening? And so just this massive identity shift. But so I haven't gotten to chat with Kaylyn in a few years, and I'm going to bring her on here in a second. I see she's in here. I want to make sure I give you some proper introduction. So I haven't chatted with her in a few years, like really since that time, but of course we've kept in touch, and always, especially as female entrepreneurs, right? There's always so much love and support there, a fellow creative entrepreneur, and I've seen she's been shifting through her own identities recently, and I'm so excited. So today we're just going to kind of catch up, and I'm really kind of excited to chat with her more about what it was she was doing that didn't feel aligned, and even just so much like the verbiage that she's now using and how that feels better to her, which you might notice language is important to people and to magic. And we find a lot of comfort in the ways we identify ourselves, because there's different connotations correlating with that word. Even so much, that's where like the conversation of gender comes in. How do you self-identify? That comes into play as creative entrepreneurs. Even me saying a creative entrepreneur is like a moniker I coined, I believe, because I was like, how do I define, somebody who's a creative, who's not working a 9-to-5, who's like a masseuse or a spiritual coach like Kaylyn, except not coach. We're going to get into that. a spiritual teacher, leader, thought leader, like all of these things. How do I define myself as I'm going out there? Okay, am I a mentor? Am I a coach? Am I a model? I like unlimited creator. But at the same time, the first line of the book of Tao, the Tao Te Ching, says that the Tao that can be named is not the true Tao. And in a way, they're talking about God, right? But that's true of everything. As soon as you put a name on something, you're sort of labeling it and limiting it. And so as we go about in our creative business and we're out there marketing, these are like the constructs within which we work, but also how do we expand beyond that and then find what works for us. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Kaylyn, and I'm so excited to have her here joining us and to chat more about that. And just to catch up with her, this is kind of like girl.
Let's see, I believe I've accepted the request. We'll see. Accept.
Here?
There we go. There she is. Hi, Kaylyn. Hi, Mama. How are you?
Oh, good. I just laughed like 100 times as you were introducing me. Like, I can't say your last name. I've never tried to say it.
I really never have.
I was just dying. I was like, yeah, it is kind of one of those weird names. But I am just super excited to be here, to see you, to catch up with you, and to just talk about whatever the hell like comes up and you want to dive into. So I'm super
pumped. Totally gay. I love it. Hi,
Mo's here.
Mo's here. Chelsea too. Hello, welcome. So yeah, I'm so excited. Like I said, I haven't gotten to like see you or chat with you in a couple years, and my outside perspective looking in is that you've stepped out into doing some of your own things, but you also in the last couple of years you had your daughter.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I just like, I wasn't social media-ing for a while, so I don't know if I just missed it completely, or if you just kept it your little secret until the angel was here, because I had no idea that you were even pregnant, and then all of a sudden it was like, look, she's perfect, and she really, really is. So congrats on that. How is all of that? That's so exciting.
Yeah, she is literally a goddess. I gave birth to a priestess, and even before she came, I knew she was coming even before my son. Like when I first got pregnant with my son, I had images of her and remembrance of her. And then when they told me it was a boy, I was like, no. I'm like, this little goddess is trying to come. There's no way. But like divine timing, like I think I had to go through my own metamorphosis and my own transformation to really like hold space for like the frequency that this little just literally she is a priestess that she brings. And yeah, I'm just super excited to see who she becomes. And I think she honestly was a huge piece for me really transitioning, like when what you had shared about me letting go of the identity of the coach and really moving into more of like being the priestess and really like claiming that and claiming myself as the oracle. And it's like even before I was pregnant with her, I felt that shift coming. I felt where just identifying as a coach, like it didn't feel good to me anymore. I didn't resonate with it. And I realized every time that I would try to show up and put on that label or market that way, it felt icky, it felt sticky to me. And I'm really like, okay, well, if I'm not a coach, well then who am I? And I think that so much of that was more of like an undoing and peeling back layers versus like a becoming, because I was like, well, before I even took on the role as a coach, like I primarily was doing spiritual work. Like I'm a quantum healer. I was doing intuitive reading, soul readings for people. Like that was my jam and I loved it. And I got an opportunity to be a part of a team, which really kind of positioned me more in a coach role. And I think I took that like way far left and way too extreme, and then felt like I had to let go of these pieces of me to then now be the coach. And it was just like when I was pregnant with her, it's just like it was weird. It was like I was pregnant with her, but I was also being initiated and like pregnant with like this new identity, if that makes sense.
Ooh, I love that. Absolutely.
It's been a journey. And I think that I had to really look at myself as like, because it's resistant, right? The witch moon, I don't know kind of how spiritual your audience is, but you know,
let's talk to everyone. everybody like we're in kindergarten
Okay.
level with
So,
it. The witch
so
moon,
I know
go
where to
on.
go.
Yeah.
I realized that like I had a lot of resistance and fear around claiming the word priestess or witch or healer, mystic, whatever, because there is this deep rooted wound that like if I show up in that way, it literally means that like I will be executed, that I will be ridiculed, that I will be, you know, removed from the tribe, you know, and I was killed in a past life for being a witch. So, you know, jive with me if you can feel into this. So I have memories of that. And coming back into that was terrifying. So coach to me, kind of like you were talking about, you know, limits and comforts, coach to me was my safety blanket. I'm like, people would ask me, what do I do? Oh, I'm a coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a life coach. And I got to a point this year where I had to really look at myself because things weren't happening how I wanted them to happen. And, you know, I wasn't reaching the women I wanted to reach and like so many of the things. And I just got that reality like slap in the face where I was like, this is because you're fucking hiding and you're lying to yourself. And I made a vow to spirit. I made a vow to myself that I was like, you know what? Like, I am going to go all the fuck in. Like, soul mission or nothing. You know, let them come with the pitchforks and try to, like, hang me in this lifetime. Fucking did it once. I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Really, fuck, what's the worst that can happen? I've already lived it. But it's really, like, it was really dropping back into my body above anything else and, like, awakening that just feminine magic. And I think that's my journey right now. It's like the home to embracing like my feminine magic and my oracular channel and letting myself be fully seen as like the witchy woo woo magical woman that I am. And it's been like fucking liberating to do that.
I love it. I see that. I see that in you and in your marketing and in like all the programs that you're launching and everything you're doing. I like saw that instantly. And you shared very publicly, like, I'm like basically if you're gonna burn anything at the stake, it was that label of coach. You're like, no, that's what's getting burned. And you're stepping into who I have goosebumps right now. You're stepping into who you are. And what I love about this on like a really practical sort of level is that this is a lot of times what we talk about when we talk about like messaging and showing up online, and you're showing up in your life, and that's how you show up in your life and how you show up with your business online. It has to correlate. And you're attracting who you, I always say marketing is equal parts attracting who you want, as well as allowing people, the wrong people will see themselves out. So just by like labeling yourself a priestess, you instantly know if somebody comes to your page and it says right there you're a priestess, like 99% of people are going to see that and be like, what? And they're, you know, they're going to show themselves the door. And then the people that like, the people that resonate with that are 100% going to be on board with it. They're like, okay, let's go.
After I made that post and really started like leaning into that, I definitely did lose followers. And there was a part of like, you know, my ego self that was like, oh no, you know, I don't want to go backwards. But then I was like, you know what, like this is really creating the space or the vacuum for like those fuck yes people, the people that are going to like deeply feel me to come enter my world. I don't want people in my audience who don't feel me. Do you know what I mean? And I love to what you're saying about like the marketing and the words we use, because like I was showing up as saying, oh, I'm a coach and let me help you with your business and let me do all this because that was safe and that's what I was taught to do and everyone else was doing. But then the frequency behind what I was saying didn't match that. So it was actually like repelling people. It wasn't pulling people into me. People weren't lit up about it because I wasn't fucking lit up about it. I don't want to talk to you about mindset. I want to talk to you about like the fucking innate power that you hold as a woman, like with your pussy. Like that's what I care about, you know. But I'm like, let me help you make six figures. Like I don't care about it. So it's like I think you first have to get really fucking radically honest and true to yourself, right? Because you're like, you want to know why shit's not working? Like, are you in integrity? Like, are you being true? Like, start there. I had to.
I love it. Oh, there we go. I looked frozen for a second. I love everything about that. I couldn't agree more. And I just hear, I think this is true for all of us. Like, you know, you go out and you find somebody that you're learning from, but that person's still human. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if we were like talking like business coaches or like, you know, Tony Robbins, say, right? Like he's still human. He still has bad days. He probably still gets like mad in traffic, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, as you're talking about this, it's like, these are the things that I help people with and I teach, but I'm just like reliving my own like mental torment that I put myself through for years over when we show up online, over just sort of copying what we see is working for others. And it is, you know, I did a webinar that was like, make 10K in 90 days, something like that. And I can't make that kind of promise.
Yeah.
You know, I never felt good. Like, I have no fucking idea what you're, you know, but like, I'm here to offer you these tools and mindset and marketing. But there's a truth to having to, like, how do we package ourselves online? But I love you're going deeper with it, because you can't really package yourself online if you're not being true, if you don't know who you are. You're not being true to who you are.
Yeah, and like strategy is amazing. I'm not saying like don't have strategy, but if it's not in alignment with who you are or who you're being, it's not gonna fucking work. And that's where I'm like coming up against all these walls, because I'm like, well, I've coached this person and I told them to do this and this worked for them, and my mentor told me to do this and they have 6. Why isn't it working for me? And it's like, because I wasn't in the equation at all. There was no part of me in the equation at all. And I think that like truth is the most like potent frequency in this planet. There is nothing that is truly felt from people versus like when you are deeply in your truth, when you're in your soul truth. It's a heart resonance that like grabs your audience like by the fucking balls, essentially, where they're so drawn to you because they see themselves in you. They feel that. Versus where you go on social media, I hate it today. Everyone's like, I gotta post something every day. I gotta create every day. And then all the shit they create, it's garbage. There's no emotion. There's no true wisdom. It's just repeating what this person said and that person said. And I am guilty of that too. Like, I'm not saying I'm not. I'm guilty of that too. And I did really check myself where I'm like, where is my voice? Where is my perspective? Where is my wisdom? And like what I'm really leaning into now is like really deepening in my like intuitive channel, or I call it your oracular channel, like your oracle channel. And really making sure that what I'm sharing is coming from that place, not versus like something I heard or this. And like, not saying like a lot of us won't receive the same type of downloads, because like soul fractals and we're at the same frequency. But if you're just fucking regurgitating what you heard somebody else say, then like you're missing it, sis. Like that's not it. And you're not going to find your people because the frequency behind it isn't as potent. You know what I mean? There's a difference. Like, knowledge is, I read this thing in a book and I'm going to tell you all about it to sound smart. Wisdom is like, I actually embodied, integrated, and went through this thing, and I can walk you through the process. It's so different.
I'm loving the shit out of this. This is so deep. I think this is something that so many people need to hear right now, including myself. I'm sure we're not the only ones feeling this shift. And I know I've done this like with my own marketing so many times, where I realized, oh, like, you know, when I first started this, and there's no shame in this, but I had like I always wore, I called it my business wig. So every time I showed up in Create Your Next Level, I literally had like a blonde wig and I had this look, and I was like packaging this look. And for me, part of the struggle is that I'm so fucking good at branding. Like, you could come to me with any product, any business, and I'm so good at branding. I was like, here's like this beautiful little package. And I loved that. I loved that part of it. But then I was like trying to live within it. And I was like, oh, but that's really not me. And so even when we get into words and titles and things, for me, it can be such a quagmire, because when you sit down, I loved how you described it as you were actually peeling away parts of you to get to who you really are. Like, okay, we're peeling. And I've heard that related by so many teachers and mentors, that it's really about getting rid of what isn't you, and then finding what's in there and doing that. But for me, when I get in there, I'm like, okay, who am I really? It's like, oh, well, I'm everything and nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, but how do I monetize that? How do I make a living out of that?
I relate to that, because I like, when someone's like, send me your bio, it literally makes me want to fucking throw up, because like, how, because the minute you put a word to it, the minute you put a label on it, you literally limit it. You literally limit it. And I'm this and not that, or X, Y, and Z. And like you said, like, I'm everything and I'm nothing. And I think for me, like, especially because in this day and age, it's like you need to have a role or a title, because like that is how people find you, right? Like they are looking for different coaches or priestesses or whatever. Like they are seeking for something. So to me, it's like what I play with is like what is the thing that feels like lights me the fuck up the most? Like what is that thing that like turns me on in my body when I hear it? And right now it is really reclaiming like priestess. Like when I say that, I'm like, that feels like strong to me, that feels excited to me. Like I feel a sense of like Shakti in my body when I share that. But will it always be that? I don't know. So it's like also having like grace, where you know that like these can like flex and change. But in this season of my life, like what is that thing that feels the most aligned, or feels like it lights me up the most to say I am, or to claim myself as, you know what I mean? But also coming from this beautiful lens of non-attachment, because like, just like I was so amped to be a fucking coach and took so much pride in that, I had to let her die for the priestess to come online. Do you know what I mean? So it's like honoring that cyclical nature of yourself as well, I think.
I love that. I just want to like summarize a bit of that, where there's just so much goodness in all of that. There is so much goodness in all of that, absolutely. And I love, you know, okay, we get down to who are we really, and there's that expression that we're not humans having a spiritual experience, like we're a spirit having a human experience. So when you sit down and you're like, but how do I like show up online? I love that the guidance you just gave there is really, and this is so how I love to see life. You know, it's all made up. It's all just a game. It's all just temporary. So like, what feels good to you today? What lights you up? You want to be a fucking priestess? Like, and your body will resonate with, if we subscribe to the belief that we're all here with some sort of purpose and something that's aligned with us. Okay, we'll know. I know for me, that flow state people talk about, and like what lights you up most, for me, that's when I'm traveling.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Loved it.
yeah, I do. It's new things. I realize my favorite, I've been saying for years, like my favorite thing is to learn, but like my favorite thing is new things, which is one and the same. You know, like so as I go out.
Have you ever played with the identity of like the explorer?
I mean, that sounds good.
and like just that, like not an explorer of like I'm literally just like a soul explorer.
Yeah,
like, I'm a student of the universe. Like
I'm just here, just like I'm like, what's like? I went to visit some friends up in New York City, and there was an opportunity to have a layover. You know, I flew out of Miami, where I'm at now. I've had a layover in New Orleans, which I'd never been to, and I was like, I'm gonna go have an adventure, and that was just like. Oh my God. Like I couldn't have, you know, some people are there like, here's our itinerary and here's where we'll go. And this is like why I don't travel. I don't travel well with other people, or I'm traveled 99% of the time by myself, because I just show up and I'm like, let's hop on that bus. Okay, let's walk down this street. And like, oh my God, I got everything I needed. And not only that, I ended up, they had edibles. I got some like, like CBD marijuana edibles.
Bring it.
Called like something like Space God or something, and I ate half of it, and between my flight from New Orleans to New York, I was God. Like I saw like every like I was part of the plane and all experience. I was like, okay, just like calm a little bit, like and just like the seat backs looked like evil eyes, like just like I had such an incredible like life-changing experience. And then like I land, and then I'm like supposed to like put that into social media somehow, you know? Yeah. Or for about a year when I was there, you know, when I was working with you, I had just sort of transitioned into trying to help my sister, and like this whole role of like, you know, caretaker and trying to be the stability, but then also I wasn't, you know, and I was choosing a man that wasn't very stable for me, etc. And from there, I sort of gained more independence, but I spent about a year trying to get my business back off the ground and doing exactly the opposite of my own advice, right? Yeah. Like I was doing what you should do. And that included going to networking events and sort of mimicking what I saw. There are some very successful, wonderful people I met, and mimicking what they were doing. But, you know, I'm not Joe McKiddish and Sterling. I'm not the do-work guys, right? Like I'm whatever this is. But so I was going to all these networking events, and probably my least favorite question in the whole world, least favorite, and now I'm being faced with it 800 times a day, is what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? And my answer, my soul wants to say, like, whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Whatever. I do all things. I do no things. I do, but I need like a business card and I'm trying to like make money here. So it was quite this, for me, a very unhappy existence where I ended up not only did I never like get clients, that whole year, all I got was like a year of debt.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I was spending money going and just trying to go out and meet people I connected with. And I'm sure coming from a energy of desperation didn't help, but I just never did. I never found anybody that I clicked with, and I was stationary in one spot, and I was so unhappy. And so coming here to Miami was like this like download that I was like, I think I'm moving to Miami. I'd never even been here. And I was like, that's what, and then it was funny, as I was officially moving here, my brain went, but I wonder what's next.
Oh God.
I think for me, it's just like that continuous evolution and changing. And, you know, my roommates here, it's like, it's a year lease. And I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know. People are like planning vacations 2 years out sort of thing. And I'm like, I might be in New York next week. I don't know. I'll let you know when I know.
Yeah.
You know, that's just how Jin operates. So yeah, I found even trying to package that with clients and into a program and everything, is the reason it didn't feel good to me is because it was so solid. It's like, okay, like this is what you'll get for this.
Yeah.
And I'm such a much more fluid individual than that, I believe. And that gets tricky when you have a bio and it's this big and it's like, okay, I have to like, in as concisely as possible, how do I get this message out? Which is why my advice to everybody is like, you work with, like, I can't get my own ass out of my own head. I need a me for me. You know, that's like why I work with coaches as well. Like we have our own innate being, but literally like a lot of my coaches have just like told me like, well, Jin, a part of you knows.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, but I want you to know. I want you to give me the answers, right? But like you said, when you sat down, and I love that your pregnancy and this birth was so correlated with like, because like, how could you get away from your body? There's literally another person growing in it. I'm sure it was talking to you all day, every day. When you just really got grounded in that, it's like, oh, this is what I am. It's like this maternal, you know, I've always called you mama. Yeah. Like Mama Kaylyn. That's why I'm like, my friend. I was like, she's like, Mama Kaylyn. That's who she is. Mama Kaylyn, this maternal, beautiful, feminine creature is like birthing something new. And so this new title, right, this new way you're presenting yourself under Priestess, so powerful, so incredible. I'm like, fuck yeah. Because like who wants to work with priestesses, right? It's like very spiritual beings, but also very royal people, right? You go to see the priestess.
There's so many things that you said that I want to answer, and I'm probably going to forget because as you're talking, I'm like, yes.
Amazing.
But I think really like the thread that I love that you're sharing is like how many of us, which I know people listening will relate to this, run their lives out of like things they feel like they should do or were told to do or feel like they have to do, and how that alone just continues to create these prisons around who you are and your expression and actually doing things in alignment. And like for you with business, I'm the same way. Like I will never be the person on here who's going to sell you a fucking mini course, a step-by-step thing. Like that's just not in alignment for me. And even when I with clients, like I am a priestess, I am an oracle, so it's very intuitive. I'm not going to say we're going to do da 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 because I don't know what we're going to uncover and like what's going to come up. So it's like one, it's like giving yourself permissions to do it your way because like guess what? there's no rules. Like,
There's no rules. I tell my
um,
niece and nephews that. I'm like, it's all made up. Just like,
yeah,
just be
like,
nice to each other.
I have like got that so much sooner though. Like there's actually no fucking rules. So that means I actually can do whatever the fuck I want, how I want it, in a way that feels good to me. But I think the part that's missing, because what I'm saying sounds simple and it sounds easy, but it doesn't mean it's not profound or hard. And the reason that it is because people don't trust themselves. So it's like every opportunity that you have to build trust within yourself opens the doors to everything that you want to experience. But we're so fucking afraid to trust our intuition, to move to Miami, to go to this place, to, you know, do it in a way that everyone said would fail and wouldn't work. But it's like, what if that was actually the doorway to everything you wanted? And it was just that first step of trusting yourself and like a little bit more and a little bit more. And like you were saying too about like, you hate when people ask you what you do. Like literally my skin started to crawl because we live in a society that's so like hyper focused on like the yang and the action, and it's like do more, bigger, produce, achieve, what are you doing next, da, 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 da. And it's like your whole value or worth is based on what you do. That's why people meet you and go, what do you do? They don't ask who you are, you know, who do you know yourself to be? What do you love? You know, it's nothing like that. It's like, well, what do you do to make money? What do you do to produce? What do you do to contribute in the world?
Yeah.
And I think so much of our own self-worth is entangled in that. And it's like, that's part of the deconditioning and that unraveling I was talking about in the beginning, is like, you have to start peeling away all those fucking layers to get to the core of like the truth of like, who am I? Like, just who am I? Who do I know myself to be? If I'm not doing this, if I'm not my PhD, if I'm not this title, if I'm not mom, like, who am I then? Because like, there's your essence. There's like the divine blueprint of who you are and what you should be doing in the world, you know, or what's aligned for you. But you're so hyper focused on trying to be all the things that maybe your mom, your boyfriend, your husband, your friends all told you should be or needed to be, that you like, completely miss like the flavor of who you are. So many people I meet don't even know who the fuck they are. It is. When I start working with people, I will like, I have a client, I'm not going to name her, but we were Voxering yesterday and we were going on and about titles and all these stories from childhood and, you know, all the things, which I'm also trained in trauma. I get it. And if you're not your stories, I'm like, who the fuck are you? And I just said it to her like that. She was so triggered by it, but also I don't know. You know what I mean? And to me, that's the saddest thing in the world. To all of us have this unique essence, like this spark of divinity that is like one and one only. Like nobody can be you, and you won't even let yourself be that. Like, that's heartbreaking to me. Like you won't even let yourself be that. Like no one in the world can be you or do you like you do it, and you don't even think it's good enough. It'll make me crazy.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that she's working with you, because I know you're like holding the space and you're gonna help guide her to like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like what are all of we really, like really deep down, we're like love expressing itself, and we're all these beautiful things. So I know you do need to get going soon to retrieve your son. I did want to suggest, I love the shift that I heard here that I love is like, if we go out and instead of asking people what we do, something that could be so monumental. And I was listening to a video today by this woman, Margarita, and she was talking about like the importance of like the questions that we ask and the questions we ask ourselves. But imagine asking this or answering this too, like, what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah. What lights you up?
What lights you up? Instead of saying, oh, hi, so what do you do? Say, what do you enjoy doing? Yeah. And then that is such like, as my answer naturally comes from me, I'm like, I enjoy traveling. I enjoy new experiences. And I truly enjoy helping. I truly enjoy when people are in a position where they see me. I enjoy being valued and appreciated. And I enjoy being seen for like the incredible intellect that I have. So all of that, like, you know, I'm a manifester.
Oh, because you said being seen, I was like, are you a projector?
So we're talking human design. Anybody who doesn't know, I'm such a manifester, which is also why it's so difficult for me to just like label myself and like limit myself to like a lease. you know, I'm like, no, like the world is my oyster, you know, I'm going to do things my way kind of thing.
Multi-dimensional and magic. I'm like, baby, like you can't put a fucking label on me. I think like a good self inquiry, because like it's not like who am I or who do I want to be. I really love who do I know myself to be, because that actually activates and awakens soul remembrance. Who do I know myself to be? So for a journaling question, there's a little freebie for you. And what to use when I meet people versus like, what do you do? I like to ask people like, what makes you feel the most alive?
Makes you feel the most alive, most lit up. I love that. And on that note, okay, so just like a couple more minutes available for you. I think I would, girl. 8 minutes. Okay, good. I would love to. I love that question. So anybody watching and joining, be sure that you go follow Kaylyn, or if you already follow Kaylyn, come follow me, because clearly, like, we're all really beautiful people here. So everybody should like support each other, show the love and the likes, and I'll be sure to get this live stream reposted. But I'm gonna put that question in the caption too. Who do you know yourself to be? Who do I know myself to be? And I think we should all like go meditate on that for like, I'm like 8 hours, but like at least like 30 seconds. Go. Who do I know myself to be? But on that note, I know, so for myself, as I'm constantly transitioning and I'm like, okay, what am I offering now? For myself, I'm opening up myself. And the word that is feeling really good to me right now is like mentor. It's like a 3-month mentorship, and like, okay, mindset, marketing, social media, like for creative entrepreneurs, let's spend those 3 months together, where again, I can't be very specific of like, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, but it's like, you're going to have my attention. It is going to be great. So like this 3-month mentorship that I'm opening, but I also want to give an opportunity. I know you're having some new offerings too, to work with you in your priestessness. So if you would please share with our beautiful audiences before you have to leave.
So right now I'm super lit up about like working deep with people. So I would say like if you are in a like phase of a void, a transition, like where you feel like you're going through this rebirth or identity shift, like then it's time to work together. Like that's my playground. So I facilitate either one-on-one or group containers. So I have a group container emergence. The doors are open. You're welcome to join that. I work privately one-on-one. And then if you click the link in my bio, I have like some like master classes or some freebies and stuff like that. I love to give to whatever phase on your journey people are at, just to have access, because that was so important for me in the beginning before I had resources. So I love to always be creating things like that. And right now I actually have a Awaken Your Feminine Essence Power Channel activation. Like I said at the beginning, I'm a quantum healer. So this is infused with energetics, a little bit of teaching, and you're in for a treat if you click on the link. So I'll just leave it.
Yeah, give us the title of that masterclass again, because that was like, even just the title, I feel like there's so much there.
I love it. It's Awaken Your Feminine Essence Power Channel. So just a little like quick thing. Your feminine power channel is really cultivated through your womb, heart, throat connection. And it's really dropping you into your body and healing and activating these different centers so you can show up in your leadership, so you can embrace more of your femininity, your sexuality, your sensuality, and really show up in your feminine magic. Because I mean, don't we all want that? Like, don't we all want that?
Yeah, 100%. There's so many memes out there that's like, fuck the grind, I want whatever this is. And it's like, you know, like a little hedgehog in the forest having tea. You know, like you see those everywhere. Like we're all like going back to our witchiness, I think. We're like, okay, we've had enough of this bullshit. But that's also beautiful. So everybody watching, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, Kaylyn. This has been so fucking fun. Everybody go and discover and unveil your feminine power magic channels, all these things with Kaylyn. And then when you're like, oh, but how do I make a reel? Come talk to me.
We'll cover on all bases, okay?
We'll get your social media going. Exactly. I love it. Well, thank you, Mama. It's been so nice chatting with you. Awesome catching up. I always read your emails, and I love keeping in touch, and all good things. All good things.
Okay, make sure you add me as a co-collaborator, because I want this gem too. This was so fun.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll make sure. I'll see if I can get it to show up on both our Instagrams.
Okay.
Awesome.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Everybody enjoy some tequila tonight. Bye, love.